First of all, there's a speed threat. There's a lot of strips. So the reset could go in. The defense break could go in. People don't know if it's on violent or despair, so they think that the stun could come in as well. So bringing in all this RNG and this uncertainty fends people off. I would build defenses that do that the most. Hey guys, before we start the video, if you guys are interested in getting advice and help from me and other Summoners War players, feel free to join my Discord, where the link is in the descriptions below. Also, if you enjoy my content and want to support me, become a Patreon, where the link for it is also in the descriptions. I want to say I appreciate all the support, and believe me, I really do. Anyways, that was it. Let's get back to the video. Hi guys, this is Juno and welcome back to another account review in Summoners War. Today we are in Hummus's account, and this account had very specific things that he wanted me to talk about. AD and AO suggestions, which are extremely common. Siege offense suggestions. So this is a first, and I actually don't like doing this, but I will try and give the most generic siege offenses that are popular, that I use. His rune event suggestion, so that will also depend on what we see from the runes. From the rune event, most people are speed chasing, so it's a very good indication on what I could recommend, seeing that most of the stuff that I determine your rune quality is through speed. He wants a specific RTA suggestion because he was running the Swift Vert, and it looks like he wants to know more about it. If they steal the Vert, maybe I'll give him some of my experience, my opinions, because I experienced that as well. This account owner also came back recently. He's been playing since when Shredded Puzzle around. Wow, that's a very reminiscent name. He came back like early last year, so almost a year and a half, I guess, he's been playing actively. So let's take a look at this account and see what I could answer from the list of questions that he had. Hummus has some shiny toys. He also has the Kinky with the Tianlang, and he also has the Light Chun-Li. He's reached C3 in regular arena, so seeing that he wants some AD AO suggestions, he wants to reach the red star, at least G1. RTA is C1. We'll look at his rune quality and see what it shows us there. He's in a low guild, like G1, C3s, and he told me that he gets 6 to 7 wins per siege battle, which I think is actually pretty low. If you are in C3 regular arena, or if you're in C3 siege, I do think you could get a 10-10 or even a 9-10. It shouldn't be too hard, right? Because really they're not stacking defenses. But this is all assuming that you are not constrained with time. If you have to put in all your attacks at once, maybe yeah, you could lose because you don't have the freedom to decide on which defenses you want to hit. We don't have to look at the dungeons because he did tell me that everything is working well. Let's go straight to his box because we did see some shiny toys. Let's see if I see some units that are good for arena defense. So he has the Moore, he has the Samath, he has Chung Peng, he has Leo, he has Linda. So he has the team for the Linda second turn team that I love to use. He has the Poseidon. Does he have Tiana? Does he have Cardinal? No Cardinal. Does he have the Tiana? No Tiana, but I do see the Riley. So you do have everything for the second turn team. For first turn, not seeing your Tiana, you're not gonna go that type of team. Do you have a Chiyu? You don't have a Chiyu either, but you do have an Escher, right? I wish you had a Chiyu, because that's the Mio Oki Cleave type of team. It's really not safe. But you can do the Moore Escher, which is weaker than Chiyu Escher due to the fact that Moore Strip is a lot weaker than Chiyu. But do you have a better stripper that also has a speed lead? Probably not, right? I mean, if you have the rune quality, you could also use... Never mind, I thought you would have a Gemini, but never mind. But that requires really high rune quality. You have to make your Gemini go first and then your Escher go. Because if Escher goes first, he'll give you speed buff. Gemini's passive won't strip if you have a buff, right? I will try more Escher, Galleon, Leah. That's what I would do. and see how that goes. Don't take my word for it, but just seeing it right now, that's the type of offense that I would run. Arena defense, we can't really say much here, but I do see that you have a lot of units and you do have some options, so let's just know that and go straight into your runes. So looking at Swift speed, slot 1 25 is actually pretty good, and then 22. Slot 3 is 25 as well, the 21. Slot 4 is 28, so this is an event rune. He said he only was able to get 2 event runes because he was only able to experience 1 since he was taking a break for such a long time and he came back last year. I guess there was only 1 rune event during that time period, so he was only able to get 2 runes, and this was one of them, it looks like, because it has the fastest speed, and he did tell me he got a slot 4 crit damage rune for Swift. So it looks like the event rune, and he's lucky that it rolled pretty well. This is only a +4, so it could actually be a 29. And then 24, 23, and then 18. Slot 5 is really weak compared to the other slots because the fastest is 21. Then slot 6 is a 20, which could be a 25. A really good rune for a Gemini actually. Or even the more if you want to use a Swift more, but I would recommend a Despair more. Because really the unit that needs to move first is the Escher, which will give the boost, so your more does not have to be as fast. So overall Swift rune's not bad, because you do have that one rune. It looks like you have a fast enough set that could get you G1 in my opinion. So let's go to the next set. Your Violet rune. So the fastest slot 1 is on Tin Lane with 24 speed and then 22. Slot 3 is 21 and then 21. Slot 4 is 28, another fast rune, but it's on a flat, so that's disappointing. But still a fast rune. You are using it correctly. It's just for a unit that wants to go first, like the Bernard, a Clara, a Bastet, just something like that. Then a 25, so that's another good rune right there. Another 25, okay, you have 2 really good slot 4 HPs. 25 slot 5 and then 22, and slot 6 finally a 25 and 18. Slot 6 is the weakest. It looks like maybe you want a slot 6 attack rune because your attack rune's only 18. Or you could go even a slot 4 crit damage rune because you do not have a fast crit damage rune. Those are the options that I would go for if you want to go with the violent runes. Now will runes. Slot 1 is, whoa, this could be 30, right? Because this is an ancient rune, which could roll a 6 on a legend grind. Or you could go for the 5, which is still 29. So that's an awesome rune there. I think that's the wrong gem. You'll put in HP, sorry, you'll put in attack percent. And then 23, 21, slot 3, 26, another very fast rune, but then 22 next. 26, another flat, so it looks like you weren't really lucky with your runes. Your rolls were lucky, but the rune itself, you didn't have much luck because there's a lot of these flats here. And then a 25, 22, 20, this could be a 24, and another 20. So it looks like another slot 4 crit damage rune is a good candidate for your will runes. 19, so I'm not recommending these other slots, the slot 5s. Both your Swift runes and will runes have really weak slot 5s, but you don't want to pick up a slot 5 rune for your event rune. So that's why I'm not saying it, but they are weak nonetheless. You maybe want to run the dungeons just to improve this slot. It's the same for me. I have a really weak slot 5 for my violent runes and I need to work on them, but I'm just so head stuck on GB12 trying to get a faster Swift rune. And then 17, so this could be a little faster, so it's 14, right? Or 22, because it's a legend as well. I mean, sorry, it's an ancient rune. Slot 6 is 29, wow. And then a 22, which could be a 28, because this is also an ancient. And then a flat rune. So, I don't know. I think both of them, slot 4, like crit damage runes are a good choice. But if you do want to differentiate them, because you need to, slot 4 crit damage for the will runes and then attack percent rune for the violet runes, it looks like. Because here you do have a fast attack rune and a fast HP rune, but for the violent you do not have a fast attack rune because the fastest is 18. Or you can even go for another HP percent rune if you want to have more options, because you only have one fast HP rune, and the more you have, the more the more units you could technically rune up better. That was it for the runes. I think that's how I'll go. If I had to choose one that you want to focus on, actually they all look around the same. So it's a pretty balanced rune set, rune quality out of the 3. Just go with the one that has the weaker slot. I think if you want to go that way, it's the Swift or Will runes, because that slot 5, they're weak. And the 2 event runes that I'll choose is probably a slot 6 Violent rune, and then a slot 4 crit damage rune for Will. But that's just me. You could still go for the HP percent for Vile, because I think that's a very versatile rune. The more you have, the more units you could rune up, because more and more units use HP slot 6s, even if they're a damage dealer. It's really up to you. Actually, let's look at these crit rate, because you don't have a crit rate slot 4 on Will that has speed, which is a good option to have if you want to rune a good Sierra or a Praha, something like that. Let's look at Violent, 20 speed, 16, 14. So even a crit rate rune might be a good option for one of these sets, the Violent runes or the Will runes, because I think that I did see a Sierra in your box, if I'm correct, or I'm not correct. Never mind, there's no Sierra. So maybe for your future Sierra, maybe for your future Sierra, holy cow, or maybe the Praha. Let's see if you have Praha. I mean, you don't want the rune just for Praha, that's the thing. You don't even have a Praha. Never mind. Forget it. Forget what I just said. If you don't have the unit, there's no point of getting it, right? Is it not built? No, they're all built. Okay. So now let's answer some of his questions with his arena offense and defense. Interesting defense. Nobody's really fast. How fast is this Juno? Plus 158 is actually really good, but still easily outspeedable. Kinky is ruined okay, but personally, I tried Despair, Destroy on 100 resistance and it didn't work that well. I started getting a lot more wins after I switched my Kinky to Violent, so maybe try that out. But let's first make the team. I would definitely run the Tian Lang. So for the defenses with Tian Lang, if you're going fast, and I think going fast is good because you don't have a really good lead for a tanky team. You don't have the Wind Monkey, you don't have the Cardinal. The only HP lead you have is probably the Vero. The Vero. And I don't know if that's a good thing to do. So if you're going for a fast team, I like the Tian Lang with a second stripper, like a Triton or the Clara. And then here you'll put in like Savannah. If you have her, you don't. Or, you know, some sort of other control, maybe even the Rika. Let's see if you have something better out here. I guess Cocky could still work, but definitely Violent. I think I'll do Violent, Swift, Violent, Despair Will. So Violent Will, Swift Broken, or Swift Shield, Swift Will, Violent Will, and then Despair Will. I think that's what I'll do. I mean, you could put this here, but he will have to do a lot more damage than what he's doing right now if you want to have any kill pressure. But this could also fend off some offenses. First of all, there's a speed threat, there's a lot of strips, so the reset could go in, the defense break could go in. People don't know if it's on Violent or Despair, so they think that the stun could come in as well. So bringing in all this RNG and this uncertainty fends people off. I would build defenses that do that the most. Offenses, let's take a look. So he said the top 3 is what he uses the most. Thank you. Love what you're doing here. This is what I want to see. Rage Will. Tanky as well. Love it. Love it, love it. Let's look at some of these other units here. That's great. Almost 100 res too. Both on Violent. Okay, that's good too. If you want to bring in extra damage, you could also try putting a fight set here and there. Then double Will Shield. You are awesome. Going exactly the same as what I did. This is a really good offense. Okay, the fast one. Okay, here with the Kabila. So is your Lucian? No. So the one thing about this offense, you would usually want your Samath to go in front of the Lucian. And I know that's hard because this is a single booster. So once your Konomiya on plus 171 takes a turn, there's no way you're gonna give a turn to Samath, right? You're gonna give it to Lucian, and then the Samath is gonna go next. But I like Samath going in front because first, there could be units without will, and maybe the reset goes in. Second, you want to put in some fluff damage. The higher you climb, there are less and less defenses you could cleave with Lucian. I know he's still a ignore defense god, but there's just so many mollies out there now. There's so many artifacts that take less damage from wind. Lucian is definitely a weaker AO these days. I suggest this to, you know, F3 players that want to reach C1, but I don't think I could really recommend a Lucian team for people that want to get to G1 because there just isn't enough offenses to hit with it. Yes, if you meet a fast team that is going for a full-on cleave in defense, then you could use this team because you're going to contest speed. If you win the speed race, you win the match. But other than that, there aren't a lot that you could hit. Now this is the third one. He said this is the bruiser comp. This is what he uses mostly in inter-server arena. I wouldn't even put this in the arena offense, well, in this category right now that we're talking about. The offenses you want to see are the ones that you use during rush, and I am pretty sure you're going to rarely take this out during rush, and if you do, you're just wasting time. When you use this offense to beat one defense, you're probably getting hit like 10 times. So forget about that. I would make the Leah team, and yes, it's unreliable with the Morse drip. Just go for the 100 accuracy. Just use it specifically for this offense. It looks like you're using it for like arena, no, not arena. It looks like you're using it for, let's say, siege, but you have to sacrifice one for the other, right? So here I'll put in the Escher, and then the Galleon. I hope you have multiple Galleons, because you should have like 2 Galleons, one for a fast team, one for a slow team. Assuming you have both right now, let's say this is fast, you put the Galleon. And then finally you'll put Leah. I recently created this team, but obviously the first one is Chiyu. And it works really, really well, but it does have a pretty high rune requirement. Some people might disagree, but I think that you have a pretty high rune requirement. You'll need a high rune requirement just by the fact that you have to give it a 100 crit rate. You have to get all the speed for you to maximize all this damage. So that is it for those 2 AO recommendations. Well, actually it's more of a 1 AO recommendation. There isn't much else that I could recommend right now. Maybe you can make a bomb team, but you don't have Sierra, so not a good idea, right? Because I think Sierra makes that bomb team alive. Other than that, I don't have any better team to recommend, because I think those 2 teams, one second turn team and one first turn team, can definitely get you to G1. Now let's look at RTA. So RTA, you ran the Swift Word, you had a 56% win rate, so if you continued playing, you could actually reach C2. I think you could keep climbing until your victory rate is around like 50%. If it's higher than 50%, it means that you could still climb. I saw people in C3 with a 47% win rate. It's just that they played 1,000 games. If you play a lot, you climb. So looking at the box, let's see what you ran. So Swift Word is right here. You used the Clara. I'll take that out. Unless this is the, oh wait, no, this is for the Special League, it looks like. Okay, this is for the Special League. So he wants to know what to do if the unit steals a verb. So I'm assuming your first pick is the Moor, right? Your Moor is the first pick, and then if they steal verb Changpeng, where do you go from there? Well, obviously the first thing you do is pick out the Riley, right? The Riley is probably the best thing to do. Unless you have another fast team to contest speed, you're going second turn. Looking at your Swift sets, you'll have to definitely go second turn. So you'll pick out the Riley. Riley is like number 1, right? And then knowing that they have Verd and probably like the Changpeng, because that's the most common one that they steal. If they do pick out the Verd Changpeng, I think I will counter it with like Douglas to counter the Changpeng. Or you could put this behind and pick it last, because they could continue bringing out, you know, wind units, AoE wind units, where the Douglas is like a forest man. Kinky is also a good option. I would want a second healer such as, or a second sustain, such as Wusa. Wusa's pretty strong, because if they steal the Verd and Changpong, it's usually not Oliver that comes out. But if it is Oliver, there's one crucial unit you have to take, which is the Antares. I know, people don't like playing the Antares game, the RNG game, but what can you do? It's part of the game. And if you don't have a clear answer to an Oliver, you have to choose out, you have to pick out a unit that could actually deal with Oliver if RNG is on your side. And you sadly don't have the Masha. You're going for counters. That's what you're doing. So if they pick out Verd, Changpong, just keep in mind you can always pick out the Douglas, because Douglas is a huge counter against the Changpong. From there, you just continue on and countering units. The best thing you could do is to counter their picks. Sadly, that's all I could say. If you had like an Abilio is another good unit. Well, Abilio could steal turns, right? With his passive as well. You could even try and pick out the Leo, but Leo and Verd on their side, they're gonna take a lot of turns. When you're picking out Leo, just make sure there's a high chance you're banning out the Verd. So Leo is also more of a last pick type of thing, depending on their team. But seeing that you have the more, because you picked out more first, right? And then they picked out the Verd and Changpong. If you're taking in a stripper, you're thinking of taking in control. Rika is also a good choice if they don't have Will. Tessarion is also a very good choice if they have a lot of passives. You could also take out the Tian Lane. If they pick out Verd, you have Tian Lane. So more Tian Lane, that's two great counters to Verd, right? And two strippers too. Although both of them are pretty unreliable, they're nonetheless two strippers. And from there, so your three main picks, right, will be Moore, Tian Lane, and then Riley. And then the other two will just be counters to whatever they pick out, such as the Douglas and Antares or Tessarion. That's how you should play the game. You could even pick out the Poseidon or even the Miles. They're all good units. But that's what I would do. So the thing is that this account owner wants to improve in Siege the most. He's not attacking right now because I have the account. But let's look at a Siege defense and how they're doing. Wow. It's actually doing a lot better than I thought. So if your defenses are working, I have nothing to say. Some of these don't have enough sample size, but I'm gonna assume that they're built in the correct order. So let's just answer his main question regarding Siege offense. So I'm gonna just go into a sample, right? So a common one will be the Lucian team, which you have. Now, if you want your Lucian to hit even harder, seeing your economy as decently fast, you could put in the Bale here. Something that I run a lot. A little less in G3 because their units are just stacked with artifacts that decrease damage. This brings in 44% in more attack power. So I would try running this. It usually works. Lucian either kills 1 or 2 units, and by then Bale has 5 stacks and Bale just cleans up. So that's one. That's a very common one. The second one is the Verd. Do you have 2 Verds? I mean, if you're running a Swift Verd team, I would make sure to have a second Verd for a triple revenge Verd. But maybe you don't have it. But assuming you have a second Verd that you're using, that you could put on Violent for damage with decent speed, you have a team like this that consists of Garo, Rauk, Verd, used heavily against Martina Shine and Trianas, really effective actually, and other fast defenses that have a 24 lead, and you have a chance to outspeed due to the fact that you have a 30 lead. And Rauk's base speed isn't that bad, so it shouldn't be too hard to put in a good Swift set if you have an abundance of Swift sets. But this is almost a guaranteed win as well. A very common one that I see, and most of these are for like 4-star defenses. They have like answers. Another common one that I'll use is with Riley, Nana. Do you not have Nana? Is this a different account? Maybe this one doesn't have Nana, but Nana and Douglas is fairly safe as well. attack lead, attack buff, a lot of glancing on the Douglas, and Douglas usually cleans up. I use this a lot against Sierra teams. Most of the time, Douglas is able to carry the game. Another common one, if you have the Diana, do you have Diana? I guess you don't even need Diana, you could use Douglas here. Do you have Eladriel? Crap, you don't have Eladriel. Because another common one I was gonna say is something like this. If you have Eladriel, Diana, anything with Leo, right, is really good against Beast Rider teams. A very common one I see in G3, surprisingly, is Molong, Musa, Savannah. And if you have a Diana, Eladriel, Leo, it's a free win. But I think this would also be considered a almost free win. I just don't know how hard Momo can hit. If you don't want to use Momo, you could always use your Dominique. This should be a pretty easy win against those teams as well. If you want to go against Martina, Shina, Triana's, and you know that they're a tanky team, not a fast team, then you could go with a Megan. Oh wow, you don't have Megan. Okay, I didn't expect that actually. You don't have Megan? Ooh, crap. Well, if you can, make a Megan. And you don't have a Stella. Crap. Never mind. If you had a Stella, I was gonna go Megan, Stella, Mina, but you don't have those, so I'm not gonna do that. So, common one that's really good as well is the twins, the water twins. With Harmonia or Chloe. You should build a Harmonia. It looks like you don't have a Harmonia. Or am I blind? No, you don't have Harmonia. You don't have Chloe either. Really strong against the Carcono, Vigor, Triana. Water twins plus the Chloe. Free win. Most likely. You have the Water Frankenstein. You have the Lulu. And then do you have the Windy? Yes, you do. So I'm pretty sure this offense is pretty popular. You're probably running it. Yeah, so you're already doing that. But yeah, those are the ones that I know about. I wouldn't use this offense. I don't know why you're doing this, because the attack buff is not making anybody better. I think pairing up the Riley with the Douglas is probably the best choice. Or any damage dealer, to be honest, right? Like I said, this is a almost guaranteed free win against the Savannah comps that you see a lot as well. I think that's all I could say. There isn't much. I talked a lot. It's probably a lot to take in. I hope all my opinions gave you an idea on how you could improve in the game. If there are any questions, please feel free to message me on Discord, because most of the time I'm there. Well, at least I'll try to answer most of the questions if I read it. Or put it in the comment below. Anybody out there, if you guys don't agree with the opinions I gave this account. But if you guys enjoy the content, please like and subscribe, because that really encourages me to continue with this content. But that was it, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.